Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and what I'm going to show you is the chart that's happening now, which is a full moon. A full moon is when the moon is opposite the sun. You can see here, there's the sun and there's the moon. And the thing is with this, when it's a new moon, the sun is actually on top of the moon, and the sun are conjunct. They're on top of each other. So this is the difference to understand what's what when you're looking at an astrology chart. But we're going to look at this Pisces moon, which is very beautiful. And I would like to say as well, we're going to look at my chart briefly so that you can understand how it would work out in your own chart. I'm just going to give you a brief look at my chart. And also then we're going to go to solar fire, because there's other stuff going on that I want to bring into this, which is really helpful. So let's go over to, I'm going to come off camera, and I'll say as well, if you want to look at your chart with me, I currently am able to do by donation, bookings by donations, which works for me at the moment until the end of 2021. A few months left to that, 3 months left, literally 3 months and 2 weeks roughly. So now let me come off of this and show you. Stop video, and I'm going to go to the charts. Okay, so what we have is that we have this beautiful full moon that's taking place, and I'm going to read some of the definition of what Pisces actually means, which will be really useful to know. And the archetype of Pisces is it's the 12th house, and the ruler is Neptune. If you probably know that if you've got if you're a Pisces moon or a Pisces sun, but the ruler is Neptune. So with Pisces keywords, if we're looking at Pisces, we're looking at disillusionment, we're looking at being psychic. It's also to do with addiction, escape. It can be hopelessness and helplessness. There can be weak boundaries with Neptune. The interesting thing about Neptune as well is that Neptune in our chart will, wherever it's going, for instance, mine is on the transiting the IC at the moment. The Neptune is the dissolver of illusions, but it's also illusions. So it can work out either way, so in our chart. And, you know, that will be dependent on our level of understanding and consciousness, and then also the choices we make, and also to do with the aspects to our own chart. It's where we can be dream, and it is our sleep time as well. Neptune, it's beyond the 5 senses. It's our innocence. It can be to do where we're wounded or suffering. It can be the martyr as well, or the savior. It's where we can feel persecuted, the victim. It can be to do with disassociation, like the drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. It's a mystic. It's our subconscious, and it's where transcendence as well, the beauty in it. There's fantasy, and when we look at all of the great poets and art and dance and stuff like that, it's very Neptunian, so much beauty in the world. It's where we can be naive, it can be poetry, and there can be confusion and disassociation, and also there can be guilt as well, which is individual and collective guilt. And there's a lot more going on there, but that also the moon in Pisces is where we have great sensitivity, and we're very perceptive as well. It can make us extra perceptive to things, and it's where we can experience feelings of insecurity. It can also be passive, and where we want to wait to see what happens instead of acting. And it's also where it's to do with creative or spiritual, the searching for for the creativity, as I said, the music and the dance and such like, and poetry, but also the spiritual of us. And it's where we can have great imagination and beauty. And it's also to do, in evolutionary astrology, it's the wave and the ocean, the 12th house. It's where we return to the ocean. And there's some beautiful aspects going on to this moon that I will show you in solar fire. I'm going to show you now also if you want to look at your own chart, then you can go to this site here, and you can see it's AstroSeek. And it's astroseek.com/astro-seek.com. And you can bring up your own chart. You can see here, as I put my mouse over the bar there, you can see what drops down here. So you are able to look at your own chart, but to read a chart is another matter. And then also to understand the archetypes and the meanings, you may need somebody to help you with that, to speed you up, or you may want to understand what's going on in your life currently through transits in your own chart. So I won't go, I'm going to go over to solar fire to finish that off, but now I'm going to go to share my own chart, which will be good to see. If you can see this here, I'm just going to make sure I'm on the right page. New share. Right, okay, so this is my chart, and what you'll be able to see is where that full moon is happening for me, and I'm going to get my marker to make it clear. Right, so this is my chart, and you can see my sun is 0 degrees of Gemini. My moon is also Gemini, so my mind is really busy, always, non-stop. And then we've got the sun is here. You can see in Virgo, it's currently 20, it's 28 degrees, and it will be going into Libra in a couple of days. So my sun in my chart has gone over my MC, and it's moving into my 11th house shortly. You can see here, it will be moving into my 11th house in the coming weeks. And then it's in my 10th house, which is my public and my career and my public face. That's what that is. It's also to do with government, and it's to do with how we're seen in the world. Then what we have below is the moon is actually fallen on my Saturn. So that moon is conjunct my Saturn. So this is interesting when we begin to look at how the moon is aspecting our current chart, because often we can think, it's not just the house or the place it's happening. So the full moon is happening in my 4th house, which is to do with my surroundings at home. And then as we look at, the aspects, we begin to build a bigger picture of what's going on and how it's working for us in our lives. So the Saturn, when we look, what else is it doing? That Saturn here, it's trining all of this stuff up here for me, which is quite beautiful. So I've got a lot of trines going on there too. Because that's 27 degrees, you can see it's trining stuff, and it's also sextiling stuff. So it's easy for me to follow through because of where it's landed on this particular day. And also the full moon is culmination, and the new moon is starting something new. And this is quite good for me because I am looking at how I'm seen or how I feel I want to be seen, but also it's working, for me in my life at this time. That sun in the 10th house is working out in the way I need it to work for me at this time. So definitely look at your own aspects. You can also then, we're going to go to solar fire now, and I'm going to get my spotlight again, and I'm going to show you. If you look here, you can see that the same as the sun is 2813 in the sign of Virgo, and also the moon is opposite. The moon went over Neptune. We're going to go back by hours and see when that happened. So I love this bit. So what if we go back? When did the moon move over Neptune? So we're going back, and the moon moved over Neptune at 11 o'clock. This is UK time, by the way. So let's go minutes. In fact, no, let's go an hour ahead. There you go. That's it. So around noon, 1 p.m. in the UK today, it moved over. So the moon and Neptune conjunct is to do with our emotions, and there can be a lot of beauty with that as well. It's quite beautiful how astrology, how we see it. So what's going to be going on is that sun is going to be conjuncting Mars in the coming weeks. And it's going to be exact. So I'm going to take that forward and show you. The other thing that's quite beautiful that I look at is the work of, Black Moon Lilith and what she's doing in the chart. So I'd like to pick up on that because the feminine and the shadow, and not just for the feminine, but the collective right now. We're in a bit of deep water, aren't we, with all that's going on. But that Black Moon in the 3rd house, which is because it's Gemini, that's why I'm reading it this way. Our challenge of this and the shadow, it's to do with our self-expression. So if you can see that's the North Node, they've met in the last week. This Black Moon takes about 4 years around the chart, and what we have 9 months through a sign on average. And what we have is that the North Node is our path in life, you know, the way we're moving through life. So, and also the way forward for humanity in Gemini. It's to do with our communications. And it's been a very challenging time with the Black Moon, clearly for the last year. And since that moon's been in Gemini, not the moon, the North Node. So the challenge is to do with our self-expression. And of course, you know, our self-expression with what's been going on with COVID and lockdowns and, you know, the virus and the, you know, last year, Black Lives Matter and the politics all over the world. You know, I'm in the UK, but I know that the USA, like huge shifts and problems, and we've not been able to travel as well. That's the other thing with Gemini, it's all local stuff. The shadow side that's ingrained, it can be very rigid. We can be very rigid and have our strong opinions. So we can see that's been playing out with that Black Moon. This is what it means. It's an endless, you know, it's like, you know, just causing trouble. When it causes trouble when we're so opinionated and we're so, you know, not flexible in our understanding. And we can see there's a lot of dogma. But, you know, and if we look opposite and we look at Gemini, and Sagittarius is, you know, in the South Node, you know, and this is where we need to lose our dogma. You know, we really need to be communicating on a level that's helpful to all of us and not be so dogmatic. But this can cause overwhelming confusion. And, you know, what direction do we take in life? And it's just fascinating that that is connected in with that North Node at the moment. It's also, you know, when we look at our childhood and we go through life and we have to sort of learn, and each time we learn, and it doesn't stop just because we're adults. Like we think, you know, we're going around, there's so many of us now have become scientists in the sense that we all know what the virus is doing and we all have the answers, and, you know, none of us know. And as a child, you know, we think we understand something, and then we, you know, we get a big wowee when we understand something else. It's like we're continuously learning. That doesn't stop just because we're adults. So, but as we, you know, we need to outgrow our being overly opinionated. And the gift that this shadow, the shadow side, is exacting, you know, we can get exacting empowers our observation. So, you know, if we become the observers of what's going on and we take away the emotional, you know, complexities of being so involved in it right now, what do we want for ourselves? You know, what do I want for myself? How do I want to communicate to the world? What do I want to communicate to the world? What am I communicating to myself? You know, when I look in the mirror, or when my inner critic, what am I communicating? Because whatever I'm communicating to myself is also going to be projected into the outside world. So if I'm experiencing fear, and that's not a fault if we're feeling fearful. You know, I definitely went through some fear over the last year. I had COVID for 5 weeks last year myself, and at that time we were all told to just stay at home, don't go anywhere. There was no hospital treatment unless you were going to drop dead, apparently. You know, like you were told, if you stop breathing, then you can go to hospital. I mean, it was just, but, you know, we're learning something new. We haven't got all of the answers. We don't know the outcome of what's going on yet. And this is my opinion, and my true opinion. This is what I actually truly believe, authentically, what I'm telling you right now. And the talents, you know, can be a multitude right now that we can discover about ourselves if we take the time to step back and look at that, and to lose the fear. The thing with the, you know, and also that because it is conjuncting the node as well, you know, when we see it's conjunct the node, it's quite powerful. I've got a book on that, actually, I found online. It's a beautiful book, and I must contact the author to see if I can use it in some work I want to do, because it's really brilliant, but I can't remember her name right now. But I will definitely be doing that. So then when we look at this, we're going to look at some of the aspects that you can see here, that the sun, again, we know it's opposite, and the moon, this is a full moon. And then what we got, the sun is also conjuncting Mars. So this is going to really kick in as that moves. I think it's about 11 or 12 degrees. We will have a look. It's basically an aspect of where we fight, you know, and we were exploring things. So when people have this, that, you know, it's where I actually have this, it's like, you know, I research I'm looking for something, I'm exploring things. And, you know, I've been a fighter in my life, not in the fact that I've, you know, come from a lot of trauma, but I was able to somehow hold myself steady through that. I don't, you know, when I think about it, I really don't know how I've done that all my life, but I've been able to really, you know, be grounded somehow in that Mars energy and keep stepping forward and not completely fall to pieces. So often as well, there's a lot of energy here. And when we utilize a lot of energy, we can burn it up just as quickly. So we want to watch out that we're not, as this moves on in, you know, there's going to be a lot of impulsivity going on. There's going to be a lot of anger arising. And what we don't want to do is burn ourselves out, because the immune system, this is really important to understand. And through complex PTSD issues myself, and having 2 years of trauma psychoanalysis to deal with early trauma of my own, I understand that I can't burn myself out anymore. I have to be balanced, and I can have an opinion and I can be authentic in my opinions now. But at the same time, I'm learning to, you know, I've learned to self-regulate. So it means that with the sun, and we've all got this anyway, it doesn't just mean if you've got the sun and Mars, you know, it doesn't mean it's just me, you know, learning to self-regulate and also to be authentic and to do things that I like and enjoy. That's the other thing. So, and that's the thing with the sun, you know, with the energy loss, you know, our immune system is connected in with our emotions. You know, there is no doubt about it. So in order to be balanced, we want to learn to self-regulate. And if you need help with that and want to understand that, I've got a female group that I run on Wednesdays and Saturdays, which is free. It's for women specifically on meetup.com. I'll put the link below this video, so that you can get to meet me if you're a female and you want to come to a meeting that I do regular every week through lockdowns, and I will continue to be doing them. The sun is trying to Saturn at this time. So you see the sun, it's trining Saturn. It's I think it's moving in, it's going to be, it is applying. So that this is applying, you can see here, as it applies and it gets to, you know, 7 degrees. Up here you can see we've got Saturn at 7 degrees. We're going to have, you know, the ability to work and take on responsibility. We're going to have, you know, and we'll be able to be responsible, but we can have a low concept, and we don't want to be hard on ourselves, because that, when this kicks in, it can make us hard on ourselves to want to achieve things. The sun in opposition to Neptune, which is really interesting because I also have that, but on the other side, it's where we can be overly empathetic and too willing to sacrifice ourselves. So we want to watch out that we're not, you know, being cheated. It is separating. It's been going on for a little while, this, but we want to make sure that we're not being cheated upon, and that also that we don't get, you know, stay away from drugs and alcohol. I mean, I'd say, you know, I used to, in my past life, not past life, but past, in this lifetime, in my younger years, you know, I used to do those things, but I don't anymore. I look after myself now, because, you know, how can we make decisions, and particularly through this period of, you know, chaos that's going on in the collective, you know, we need our clarity. We really do. I mean, how are we going to make it out the other end unless we've got clarity and we're grounded, you know? And the sun is also trining Pluto as well. You can see here, you can see this is a beautiful chart, you know, so it's harmonious, and it's, you know, but it can make us stubborn and secretive, and that's okay too. The moon is opposition to Mars, and this can give us emotional tension at this time, and we might be ruthless, and, you know, it can cause conflict as well. It can make us a bit bossy, so we want to watch out for that. The moon is conjunct Neptune, and this is where we're searching for something more at the moment. We are definitely searching for something more. And, you know, it can be, you know, not just religious, it can be just something beautiful, or, you know, like people that are on the same page as us. And at the same time, we don't want to be overly self-sacrificing. We need to be realistic. So we don't want people taking advantage of us. And it's also gives us, you know, can make us extremely perceptive and sensitive at this time as well. And, you know, there's the higher vibrations that go on if you think we're on planet Earth flying through space, and there's more than this Earth, that's for sure. I don't know in, you know, to what degree, but we all dream, and definitely it's good to dream and think of our future that we would like. It's also that we can perceive deep mental processes and understand the difficulties of the human psyche as well with this aspect going on. So are there any hard aspects here? The Mercury is square Pluto. Now this is applying, it's really close. And I want to discuss that because Pluto is going to come out of retrograde in October. And also we've got Mercury that's going to go retrograde. So I'd like to bring that into this, what I'm telling you now, and then I'll leave it there for today. But this aspect of Mercury square Pluto, which is literally a degree, if you look, you've got Mercury here and you've got Pluto. You see this square here. Okay, so this is taking place, and this can be where we're overly dominated by our opinions and instincts. So you can see how this is playing out. And then it's also where we can be very biased in our thinking, because Pluto is to do where we want to transform and transmute, and Pluto is to do with life, birth, death, transformation. It's connected with Pluto, which is to do with others and resources, shared resources as well. And it's where we, basically can be, it can be very exhausting with that Mercury, because we're trying to convince our opinions, of other people of our opinions, and also where we don't consider what's practical at this time. So with that Mars and that going on with, not looking at what's practical, we could be in a bit of a mess coming up for a few weeks ahead. And then that moon will move in November, it will move into a new moon in Scorpio. So we have some difficult times ahead, but we are transforming. We can use information and intelligence also, not us. This is in a collective chart, so really listen to this carefully, that, it can be to do with manipulating others and using information and intelligence and manipulating others. However, this means that we could be unaware that we're being manipulated. Now, so you really got to think about this. Are we being manipulated at the moment? Or are we allowing ourselves to be manipulated by watching or listening to certain things or people? Or what do we believe to be actually true for ourselves? If the media wasn't around us, for instance, if the media was switched off for, a month, what would life on Earth be like? What would we really be seeing or experiencing? The language, and also because, the Gemini as well thing, we can take all of these different, this is the beauty of chart work. It allows us to have a in-depth conversation about the collective, but also about our own lives when we look at our own chart and we look at the transits. So it's not about, the magic, because the life can be magical. I mean, life is wondrous when we're in a good mood. Everything is wondrous: flowers, beauty, animals, nature, thunderstorms, the planets, just there's so much beauty, but we get very stuck in our heads. So the Venus is square Saturn. You see here, Venus is square to Saturn, and that's been going on for a couple of days, and that can make us feel quite reserved and hesitant, and that we've had restraints, also put upon us, and, having fear over authority. We can see that playing out. It's awful what's going on in the world. I really do believe, from a positive aspect, not from, like the law of attraction type stuff, but from, I do believe there's something positive taking place right now for us human beings that we're not quite aware of yet, but we will see in the coming months. And we want to also, we can have a lot of fears right now with that Venus Saturn, around poverty. The government in the UK, they're reducing for people who are on universal credit. There's a reduction going on in the next week. Just coming up to Christmas. I'm not saying it's Christmas, sorry, that using that word, but that is coming up. And people are struggling. That we're not in full flow with the economic stuff at the moment. So people are struggling anyway, and taking a small amount of money away from them, which is a small amount of money, can make such a huge difference to the quality of lives, even if it's small. If it's 20 quid a week, it's a huge amount of money to somebody who's got children, or they want to buy some healthy food, like a few organic pieces or something. I'm sure you know where I'm coming from on this. So I could go on. Neptune is sextile to Pluto. I could go on and on. Astrology is never ending. But what I'm going to do is take a few days ahead, and then I'm going to leave it there. So you've got the sun, 27 degrees. We're going to go ahead. Watch this by days. 1, 2, 3. And then on the 23rd, the sun is in Libra. Beautiful sign Libra is, because we're all learning to be balanced, and it's to do with beauty. And then it will head on into Mars. We got that square going on here, as you see, 24 square there. And then we're going to go ahead again. And when does the sun, I'm going ahead, when does the sun catch up with Mars? And then we got the retrograde there, you see, to Pluto. So that Pluto, this is big. There's something undercover going to be shown. We're going to find out what it is, what's going to be shown to us, because it'll go retrograde for 3 weeks, and then it will go forward again, and then it will square Pluto again. And then there's so much, this chart is loaded for the next 3 months. I mean, I'm sure it's loaded further along the line, but really what's going on is huge. When we look at that 9, the sun is 9, watch this, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we got, look, the sun and the moon. This is a new moon, yeah? This is the 6th of October. It's a new moon, and we got Mars involved, and then that is also conjunct, that is a conjunction. This is big stuff. I mean, we got the sun conjunct in a new moon, Mars, we're going to see this play out. And then that Mercury square to Pluto, and then the sun will keep going forward, and it's going to, at some point it will be in opposition to Uranus, which is breaking free of limitations. And then, it's the node. This is interesting as well. We got the node, the Venus will be crossing with the South Node, and I've had that when I experienced that. There's also there can be some sort of, there's a loss of something or an understanding of something around our needs. So this is a fascinating chart coming up. Anyway, stay with it out there, keep healthy and stay grounded. And it's so dependent on, I'm so grateful for my own circumstances that I'm safe. And, I just hope that you guys out there are safe too, and that you've got the resources currently to look after yourself in simple ways. We don't need much really in order to have a nice life. Hey, okay, thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, or if you want to book an hour with me and you want to donate something for that hour, then I'm free to chat on that. You can email me or find me over on Facebook as well. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.